Happy Reset Monday. It is Monday, August 22nd. And how's everybody this morning? It was a really beautiful weekend around here. The weather held out, so that made for lots of good outdoor activity. And what did you do? Did you do anything fun and exciting? I spent the weekend in the sun getting my vitamin D. So, listen, this is also a really important conversation that we're going to have. This pertains to today's conversation when it comes to brain health, so I'll touch a little bit more on that. And we really need to not be afraid of the sun. So let me just jumping in here on the group, finding myself live, and give me 1 second. So I also I did some food preservation this weekend. I'll go show you. Hold on. Okay, so I had so much zucchini. Who's got massive amounts of zucchini from their garden? I had these, you go out and you pick them and you think that you've gotten them all, and then 2 days later you go out there and they're giant. And so this is just a little less than half of the batch. And what I did was I took them, I sliced them, I blanched them. You can see that. And then seasoned them with salt, pepper, garlic, and nutritional yeast, which is really high in B vitamins. It's really good for you, and it's super yummy. It gives this wonderful savory flavor. And so those are my snacks. Super low carb, very healthy, lots of nutrients, and my zucchini didn't go to waste, and I did not have to give it all away. So think about what are the things that you can do. Zucchini also freezes really well too. You could blanch it and freeze it and use it, later, like in soups and things like that. But I like this. I like the whole snack idea of the of my zucchini. So super excited about that. I've got 2 more trays finishing up at home, and yeah. Okay. So what are you gonna do with your zucchini? All right, here we go. So today, guys, we're gonna talk about your brain again. So we've been talking about your brain health and what you can do to make sure that you are going to stay of sound mind as you get older. You'll see people who are elderly, and I talked about my family reunion that I went to, and my family members are in their 80s and 90s, my aunts and uncles. Very, very active, very vibrant. They're all fit and lean. They all eat healthy. They all are, their brains are very active, and they're a very sound mind. So you would not know that my one uncle is 92. Like, it's crazy. So this is really what we want to strive for. And before I talk about the things that actually you can be doing, I want to talk to you about 2 concepts and then tell you a story, and then we'll go into this. So the first concept is, it's the 2 concepts together. So there's health, there's lifespan, and there's health span. And so I want you to start thinking about these 2 things. So we've got our lifespan, which is really just the number of years that we are trying to live. So is it 80? Is it 90? How long do you think you want to live? And then we have health span. So if you want to live to 90, 100 years old, what are you going to be doing to improve your health span? And health span consists of all of the things that we're talking about, and really being able to help yourself so that you can actually avoid things like cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of those chronic diseases, which I talked last week, that 75% of the control for that path that you walk is in your hands. So start thinking about your life in terms of health span and lifespan. We don't want to just live a long life. We want to live a long, healthy life, don't we? And then I heard another interesting concept as well. I was listening to a podcast over the weekend, and this one medical doctor, he talked about, he called it backcasting. So basically reverse engineering your life, but I liked the word backcasting. I thought that was a really, we always want to forecast things. And so as we go forward and giving you this information, I want you to start thinking about, what do the last 10 years of your life look like for you? What do you want them to look like? And if you are somebody listening to this today and you're like, holy crap, I'm going to be in a nursing home, I'm going to be in a wheelchair, or I'm going to, I hope I don't get dementia, I hope I don't get Alzheimer's. If that thought of thinking about the last 10 years of your life, if that just triggered something in you, then let's fix it now. So here's what I want you to think about is, in those last 10 years of your life, where do you want to be? Do you want to be picking up your grandkids? Do you want to be taking walks every day? Do you still want to be traveling? Do you still want to be sexually active? Are there things within that last 10 years? Put it all down on paper. Let's get it there. So then you can then backcast it and say, well, gosh, if I want to be able to bend over and pick up my grandkids and take walks every day, well, then I'd better make sure that my strength is up, and I better make sure my flexibility continues. And if you haven't started doing flexibility, you've got to start doing flexibility now. We'll touch a little bit more about that. So we're starting off thinking about our last 10 years of our life, what you want that to look like. And so as we go through these steps, start thinking about the actions and the activities that you want that last 10 years to look like. And I'll go back, I'll keep telling the story about my mom. She literally 3 months before she dropped dead and was super healthy. I mean, none of us are getting out of here alive. So just remember that. But she'd traveled to 3 different states to visit family, her siblings, relatives, my sister. She came home. We were walking all over downtown Detroit. She'd been in exercise classes just the week before. And then boom, right? The timer goes off. That is the life that you want to be looking at living, is that connection to family, that, the connection to your loved ones, the active, the ability to travel. So often it's so heartbreaking because people say, oh, I would love to go down south or wherever to visit a family member, but I just can't travel. I can't walk. Start thinking about this. Let's start backcasting your life so that you can be doing those things. So as we get into this, see if anybody's dropping in here. We got questions. Okay, we got some viewers. Good morning, you guys. Hey, Dr. Adrian. Hey, Jay. Good to see you guys on here. So I'm going to start talking, and Dr. Adrian and I keep threatening to do a sex conversation. So we're going to talk about sex and women's health, aren't we? We got to get together on that. Can we get together on that, Dr. Adrian? She is a Harvard-trained, board-certified gynecologist, women's sexual health medical doctor, and my dear, dear friend, and she's a freaking rock star. So go follow her, jump on out, and make sure you go find her on social media, because she always has some great information and is really here. Her intention is also to help people have a beautiful life. So thank you, darling. I appreciate that. All right, so let's jump into it. So I'm going to talk today. We've been talking about the causes, and most of them are lifestyle issues, lack of movement, but now let's get into a little bit more specifics. So, and again, I'm referencing everything from, it's the Townsend Newsletter. Sorry, I can't see my screen, so I know that I'm showing you. The Townsend Newsletter, this is October 21. I just keep going back. These are the best magazines. I can't throw them away. They have such incredible information. So we talked last week about nutrients for the brain. So a lot of berries, blueberries, curcumin, goji berries, and omega fats. Now, I also did a video last year. I can't remember if I posted it or not, and I'll drop it here. But I was out. There's a field back behind my office, and I go walk the dog at lunchtime every day. So I take 20 minutes to an hour, just depending on how much time I have. But I get out and I move, and it helps my brain, and I'm out of the office. I get to clear out for the next day. But there's these wild berry bushes called autumn berries, and they are packed with lycopene, which, think of lycopene from a tomato, from that red color. And so tomatoes have about 4 to 5 milligrams per cup, where these wild berries have almost 30. So just so packed with nutrients. So I want you to start thinking about nutrient dense, colorful foods as we start to move through this process. So now there's a lot of herbs too that we can talk about. I just talked about curcumin. That's excellent for inflammation and as well as blood flow. And be careful with that too, because if you're doing a supplement versus putting it on your food, a lot of people, if you're on high blood pressure medication, sometimes there could be contraindication if you're on medications. I have no problem with you eating certain foods. Now, this goes to when you get put on a medication, and then the doctor will say, don't eat green leafy vegetables because it can interfere with the medication. Do you see a problem with that? How about we figure out how to get more fresh foods into your life and your diet so you don't have to be on the medications? That's this massive paradox that we have in our world today. And so start asking questions and thinking about how you can improve upon your life, especially if you're on medication. So there's a lot of foods, fruits that are brain foods. So I'm going to talk about omega-3 fatty acids. So omega fats are wonderful. So think of fish oil. Now, one thing I want to bring up, if you are vegan and you're against eating animal products, animal proteins, the problem with that, and you could say, well, I eat flax seeds and I do flax oil. Wonderful. Not saying not to ingest those. The problem with that is flax is not a straight up omega fat. And what you want is those omega-3s to come straight into the system. And what do omegas do? Omegas they help with our blood flow. They help with our brain health. Your cells, every cell in your body is literally encapsulated in omega fat. Your brain is all omega fats. So it's so important that we feed our bodies these omega nutrients. And so we have to get them from the sources that are the straight sources. Why? Because 75% of Americans are deficient in some nutrients. And if you're taking flax oil that needs several conversions to get to an omega, 1 teaspoon of flax oil requires 21 times the amount of omegas because of the conversions and the nutrients that it requires to get to an omega state, like calcium and magnesium and zinc. And so many Americans, most Americans are deficient in minerals and those nutrients, which that's part of our talk today. So I would prefer you just go straight for the source, EPA and DHA. When we're talking, I just hit the keyboard, sorry. When we're talking about our omegas, people will say, oh, I take a fish oil. And so you go to Costco, you buy the big Gigunda thing, and it says 1,000 milligrams on the front because somebody told you to take 1,000 milligrams of fish oil. I'm going to tell you, you got to take 1,500, sometimes 3,000, depending on who you are. However, the research shows us that it's 1,500 milligrams in combination of EPA and DHA. Those are 2 omega fats. Now, if you take that Costco bottle and you turn it over, it's only about EPA, DHA in combination of about 250. The other stuff, not saying it's bad, but the studies haven't been done on it. We don't know what those other omegas do. They probably help you in some way: heart health, brain health, digestion, joint health. But the problem is we need that combination of EPA and DHA for the inflammation, the DHA specifically for the brain. We give babies DHA. Mamas need DHA, high levels of DHA when they're nursing because that's what the baby requires. Mama needs high levels of DHA when she's pregnant because that is what helps to form the brain and the nervous system. So I'm going to say that again. You need high doses of omegas, especially DHA, for brain health because it is the first thing that formed when you were in your mama's belly. Okay, literally, the brain and the nervous system forms first in order to control and direct everything else. So that's why this conversation is so important for all of us, because the one thing that was first to form could be the first thing to go if we don't take care of it. So look at those omegas. I will drop a link to the omega that I would suggest that you take. I do have an online store, so it can ship right directly to you. If you've never ordered off of my online store, you get 20% off of your first order and then 10% off everything else that goes onto auto ship. All right, so we're gonna move on to exercise. No brainer. We know exercise helps with, it increases our oxygen levels, it increases hormones in our body. So if you're tired, if you're feeling sluggish, it is important that you get out and move. So I have had a shift in my workouts. So because of COVID, so prior to COVID, I was doing a lot of boxing. I was lifting weights. I was doing a lot of yoga, running, mountain biking. By the way, I hate running. Did another video on that. I'll drop that here shortly. But anyway, so we have to move. So what I realized was because I was doing all of this cardiovascular stuff. So boxing is power, but I realized I was losing strength. And it was interesting because I tried to talk myself out of that for a while. So the beginning of the year, I started with a trainer at Powerhouse Gym, and now I'm lifting weights 2 days a week. And really just in the last probably 4 to 5, 6 weeks, I was like, I'm feeling the strength. I knew I was getting stronger all along, but I was really feeling strong, and it's actually improving my power too. So weight training, and that's gonna be another segment I'm gonna bring you, because weight and strength training, so many studies to support that over cardiovascular exercise. Not saying cardio's bad, but if you are not strength training, you are missing so much. We've got to put the stress on our limbs. That helps with arthritis. It helps with joint health. So get out and do something. If you've got some little hand weights at home, start using them. But I want you to think about this, is your body is designed for so much. So put it to the test. Now, if you've never gone out and trained, and if you probably need to connect with your doctor or some other professional or myself to help you start on this plan. But if you're somebody who's been exercising a long time and you're going into the gym and you're like, 1, 2, 3, 10, done, you're not pushing enough weight, okay? So if I gave you a Ferrari today, would you go out and drive it for 20 miles an hour? No, you'd want to go open that baby up. So think about that. I really want you to challenge your body. Okay, so we'll move on from exercise. So foods to avoid. This is also a no-brainer. We talk about this all the time. Sugars, processed foods, pop, soda, artificial sweeteners, flavors, and colors. Those are my top 3 no-nos. No artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors at all should ever be in your life. It is highly toxic. It will kill you in the long run. It does damage to your cells. It causes inflammation to the brain, your joints. If you're waking up and, sorry, the dog's under the table. Okay. If you're waking up every day in chronic pain, then you've got to put a little bit of a microscope on what you're doing. Quick sidebar story, because I said I was going to start with this story, and I did not get there. I had a woman come up to me. I won't say how I know her, because I don't know if she's in this group or not. But she came up to me, and she is struggling with fibromyalgia. She's definitely overweight. I can look at her and see how inflamed she is. I've seen her eating and her diet, and it's not pretty. And so she came up to me and she had said, can you help me? I'm in pain every day. I'm not sleeping. I've got PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian disease, which Dr. Adrian can attest to. That is a lot of lifestyle. It's a lot of metabolic issues. It's a liver issue. We need to clear up your liver and get it functioning better. And so there's things we can do for that. But I said, yeah, give the office a call and let's get a call set up. so we can see how I can help you. What do you got going on? She was like, okay, I'll do that. Well, first of all, that was a month ago, and I haven't heard from her. Second of all, as she turned to walk away, she pulled out a vape pen and started puffing on it. Now, you guys listen, I'm giving you all of this information, and some of this is no-brainer. So you also have to look at the things you're doing in your own life that are sabotaging you for your good health. So if you have fibromyalgia and polycystic ovarian and digestive issues and sleep disorders, start looking in your own house first. You know that's not good for you. You know that is not going to serve your good health. So I really, really want you to look today. What is one thing that you can start improving on your own so that you can start to move the needle forward? The problem becomes, if you want me to give you supplements, if you want me to put you on a diet, you have to be willing to do the work. I'm not here. I can't do the work for you. So you have to be inspired enough by what we're doing here and what we're talking about here to be able to take those actions so you can improve your own health. All right, I hope that's just my little rant. But listen, if you come in here and you're smoking and you're vaping and and I don't even care if it's weed. If you're smoking weed, that's as bad as smoking cigarettes. No, you should not be ingesting smoke or chemicals into your lungs, and that has got to stop. So I know it's an addiction, and it's a hard addiction. I would hope that you would never start, but if you are on that path, you've got to stop. You have to want something better for yourself more than you want to put toxic chemicals in your lungs. Okay, nutrients found, and I'm gonna talk about this real quick, and then we're almost out of time. So this is key. Nutrients found to be deficient in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. So D3, all of your B vitamins, zinc, B12 specifically, and DHA, we talked about that, and glutathione, which is like the mother of all antioxidants. So let's start at the top, D3. Most Americans are deficient in vitamin D. Couple of reasons. Number one, we live in a cold climate, and so we don't get a lot of sun exposure. Then, when the sun does come out, what is the first thing we do? Can you please drop that in the comments? What do you do when the sun, and you're like, I'm gonna go out into the sun? We slather on toxic chemicals to block the sun's rays. The best sources of vitamin D is through the sun. So what you should be doing, and again, in the beginning of the year, you've got to go out and start slowly, is 25 minutes of full body sun exposure, either early in the morning or later in the day. Start building up the melanin in your skin so that your body can then start to produce its own D. Now, if you can do that, and some people are like, I burn really easily. I totally get that. I don't want you burning. But if you go out, if you flank the sun's rays, either early in the morning or later in the day, you will gain enough. I think it's like 40,000 units of D3 get produced with 20 minutes of sun exposure. That's a lot, and that's what we need. So, and a lot of people are like, I take 400 a day. No, can't do it. So we can't be slathering these chemicals on, because the chemicals also cause cancer. Now, I'm pretty tan, I'm pretty tan. I spend a lot of time in the sun. And so what that does for me is I've got a lot of melanin built up in my skin. So I actually need to spend longer in the sun to get the same amount of D production that somebody who's lighter than me, okay? So it takes longer. So think about that. If you're darker skin, you actually need more time in the sun. Okay, so that's our D issue. And I chronically see people in here with poor health, and they'll bring in tests from their medical doctors, and the medical doctors, why didn't they test the D levels? And then we get the D levels back, and they're like in their 20s. You've got to be up over 75. And let me tell you, the lab number, its range starts at 30. So if you're at 35 and your doctor tells you, oh, your D levels are fine, no, they got to be up over 75. You need a high quality D vitamin, which I'll go ahead and drop in here as well. Okay, the next cluster is we're just going to talk about B vitamins in general. Critical for nerve health, critical for brain health. B12 specifically, if you are on an acid blocker, taking any medications whatsoever, if you are on the pill, you are not absorbing your B vitamins. Guaranteed, if you're on any medication at all, you are deficient in your B vitamins. You can't, one does not go without the other, all right? So when you take an acid blocker, which how many Americans are on acid blockers? I know there's a lot of people listening right now who are like, yeah, I take that, Nexium or whatever. You don't even think about it. When you take that and you shut the acid down, you shut the body's ability to absorb B12, and that affects your brain. You're depleting everything from your brain. The other thing that it affects is you need calcium to have acid for it to be absorbed. So now, as we get older, now we're at risk for osteoporosis, osteopenia, fractures. So minerals are part of this, and then the magnesium's in there as well. So any medications are going to cause a depletion in the body. So what medications are you on? If you don't know if you're depleted, we can run blood work. Please reach out to me. We can do that. I can send you to a lab. We can do all of our nutritional counseling virtually. And so happy to do that and take a look at that for you. All right. The last two things, so we touched a little bit on the DHA. And so we need DHA for proper brain health as well. And I just thought this was really interesting because when we lose DHA, we actually have a greater cognitive decline. Now, one of the biggest causes of DHA depletion is cholesterol medication. Again, one of the number one medications that people in the US take every single day. So when you start to decrease your cholesterol through medication, you are literally shrinking your brain. And there's, I shouldn't even quote this because I can't remember the study that I saw it on, but you'll get the idea is that people who have Alzheimer's and dementia, it's something crazy like 80% of them are on cholesterol lowering medication. You need cholesterol for your brain to function and your hormones. So if you're having hormone issues and you don't have any cholesterol in your body's going to suffer and struggle. All right, so again, thinking of these things and going, well, how can I maybe get off of these? You can talk to your doctor. I can work with your doctor to help you start to wean off of that. And then the last thing is glutathione. And like I said, glutathione is the mother of all antioxidants. What does that mean? Antioxidants are the garbage that gets formed when we breathe in air, when we eat foods. It's basically a byproduct of metabolic processes, whether we're breathing, eating, thinking. We get all of this garbage running through our system, and we need somebody to come and clean it up. So other antioxidants that you're probably familiar with are like, vitamin C would be a big antioxidant that most people think of, vitamin E. But glutathione is further upstream, and it helps produce all of the rest of them. So if you don't have enough glutathione, you're not going to produce enough of the antioxidants. And I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The oxidative stress. So we need the antioxidants to clean up the garbage. Sorry, the antioxidants are not the garbage. So glutathione is that upstream nutrient that will come and clean up the rest. So I take a glutathione supplement probably maybe 2 to 3 times a week, just to hedge my bets and make sure that my body's cleaning up properly. So, all right, guys, I will drop links to all of that for you. And if you have questions, I know that was a lot today, but start thinking about yourself, and let's go back. Let's do that exercise of the last 10 years of your life and start backcasting how we need to be building and engineering your life today so that you can successfully be there happily with your health span and not just your lifespan. All right, I hope you all enjoyed that. Remember, please like, share this page, and if you are so inclined, please go ahead and invite your friends in to get this incredible information. And I will see you on the next one. Have an incredible Monday. Remember, it's Reset Monday, which means you always have time to start over. All right, you guys, have a great day. See ya.